Hello, welcome to game 3 of the Empire's Cage match with Overlord and Museum. So this board was initially very tricky for me to analyze. There are some draw cards here: Embassy, Hireling, Moat, not really Moat, but most importantly Shepherd. So I was looking to build something with some kind of draw, but I knew that the thing with Hireling was too slow and Embassy isn't the greatest draw card in the world. If you want to draw lots of cards here, you have to use Shepherd, I feel, and using Shepherd kinda means you have to thin out the coppers with Temple, which is extraordinarily slow. So I wasn't quite sure how to open up here to achieve or to build such a deck. Um, my opponent opens with a fishing village, and I'm not really sure what he's gonna pair that with. There's also options here of opening like fishing village, borrow for 5 cost, but none of the 5 cost seems that attractive. Like silver embassy opening might be a thing, maybe, but I'm not sure where you go from there with that. What do you buy on your next shuffle? A potion, maybe? University, is it worth it? I wasn't entirely certain. I don't particularly want that many embassies or fishing villages, really. And I just want maybe the one Legionary Hireling. I can't gain it. And another issue with draw here is that the villages, the sources of plus action, the university and the fishing village, they're flat. They don't draw cards, so that makes it, that much more difficult to build something that draws here. But in the end, I do decide to just follow my opponent. He goes for a fishing village and potion, and I'm also gonna get a potion. I consider picking up Shepherd there, but I suppose gaining a few embassies is not bad with the university. Is also a source of plus actions, and we'll see how things go from here. I have to just try and keep borrow in mind as well, in case there's something I need. I would like to get a hireling as soon as possible because hireling, one or two of them, really helps with this university embassy draw thing that I was picturing in my mind. Really helps, and also helps the shepherd thing. So I do buy a university here. My opponent picks up a silver. I didn't want to pick up a silver because I felt like he would get embassies at some point, which would give me silvers already. So I said, okay, I'm not gonna do that because I'm gonna get them for free anyway. Temple here to start the trashing going for the shepherd, and just for in general, trashing is good. Here I have 5 on a potion, and I'm gonna borrow for the hireling here. The hireling is fairly important because Legionary, that discard attack is brutal. This is a devastating hand. Like, I don't want to trash any of these things with Temple, unfortunately. And I make a rather questionable play here. I do buy an Overlord, which I didn't really like, and I still decided to do it anyway. Oh well. Oh well, right? So University here, I could pull down a Temple or Shepherd, but I think I go for the Embassy. I have one fishing village, one University, and I will be able to trash here. And this is the other issue with Overlord, right? Like if I'm trashing with Temple, I'll have less money, and it just takes a very long time for me to get out of debt here. I didn't like that Overlord pickup at all, but it's done now. It's done now. I have to live with it. Hopefully my opponent will be just as slow or even slower. We'll see here that he is also trashing with Temple, and he seems to be holding back on trashing the green cards from his deck. So I also noticed that, I had that in my mind. He is also angling for some kind of shepherd draw here, which I feel has to be the strongest draw on the board. The point I was making about the Legionary is that it really hurts both Shepherd and Embassy draw, discarding down to 3 cards. Shepherd loves a big hand size, Embassy loves a big hand size, and Legionary takes that away from you, and in rather brutal fashion, makes you discard down to 2 first, and then you draw back up. So here my opponent gains a couple of estates here, presumably for the Shepherd that he picked up. Now I've played this guy a couple times, and he seems to know what he's doing when it comes to Shepherd, and I have no idea what I'm doing with the Shepherd still, so at this point I started to feel a little bit behind. I do have the Overlord, but I mean, what does it really do? Like, it doesn't do much. Here I use it as a temple, which is whatever, really. And I pick up a second university, so my opponent now has 4 universities to my 2 with level on Shepherds. We've trashed about the same. I do have the Legionary, which is probably a bit premature. My opponent also has a duplicate. I do pick up one here. I feel like that was premature. I can't draw everything and make full use of that duplicate yet. So I start to feel a little bit in the back here. But we'll see what we could do from here. I do decide to play this embassy, not realizing how bad that reshuffle is. There's 4 cards left in the deck there. That's not so good. Not so good at all. So here, University, I consider gaining a fishing village. I start to see now more what my deck is capable of. I managed to get a couple embassy plays here and was able to almost draw through everything. 8 here is going to be the goal there for the Legionary, of course, just to start hitting my opponent with that discard attack. So that is one thing I have that my opponent doesn't have. He goes for another Shepherd here and a Temple. Perhaps a bit greedy there to just go for the 4 points off of the Temple. I don't think you need to be doing that at this stage in the game. And now a bunch of these University gains will be for Shepherd. I have one already. I just gained a second one. Largely just following my opponent. Triggering this reshuffle here was not that bad, I feel, because I knew that I gained a Shepherd. So if I saw the Shepherd, I would be able to draw through everything, and if I didn't see it, well, I know it's in the deck somewhere, but I still decided to go ahead and use this Overlord as an embassy. I perhaps didn't need to do that. Just wanted to clear the top of the deck as much as possible. So a bit over terminal, as you see, but I prioritize playing the Legionary there. As I said, I feel like that attack is devastating. However, my opponent did have a moat in hand on that turn, so we'll get to see how much it hits him next time, maybe. He did pick up the moat somewhere, somehow along the line. Maybe he just had a spare $2. It's okay. I mean, it's not the greatest thing in the world. It's a nice thing to gain maybe on the last turn of the game, just to maximize the amount of points you have through Museum. But I would much rather use my actions on something like Embassy. And here's where I start to see something very interesting. Embassy and Shepherd kind of work well together. Embassy has this large search space. You can just keep a bunch of green cards in your hand alongside a Shepherd or two, and then draw up a bunch of cards and keep doing that until you draw everything, really. Until you draw everything. So here I do trigger again a nasty shuffle, and I'm trying to figure out ways to get out of it. I could play this Overlord again as either Shepherd or Embassy. At this point it'll be either of those two. So I do decide to go for the Shepherd here instead of the Embassy again, because I think I tracked my deck this time and I knew, okay, despite there being 8 cards, I know there's a Shepherd in there. I feel like there's a Shepherd in there and a bunch of green cards anyway. So I should be okay. I should be okay. Nope. Nope. There's also treasures in there as well. So there were the Shepherds, as I correctly deduced, but there were not as many green cards as I anticipated. But hopefully the Hireling will save me. Hopefully the Hireling will save me. So here another embassy and another moat for my opponent, presumably to defend against the Legionary attack. I've been able to buy a couple provinces here, and my opponent, he wasn't able to do so on that last turn, so I think I'm pretty satisfied already with what the Legionary is doing. Here, the potion, I'm going to get rid of the potion, of course. I don't have time to stop and buy a university at this point. My opponent has the split, and he has the split. I just have to try to run out this game as quickly as possible before he can organize his deck to make full use of those extra gains. So that's why I decided to press the provinces a little bit early there. Also, I did have a bunch of Shepherds in my deck, and they kind of like it when there's more green cards around. So that is another reason why I decided to go for green early, but mostly is because I felt behind and I felt like, okay, let's end this game while we have a little bit more control than my opponent. So I'm going to get rid of a copper here as well as a silver. The silver is just junk. There's no extra buy on the board. I just need $8 or $9 to be floating around in the deck to buy my province and move on. No need to have those extra silvers around. I'll keep 1 for the museum. That's about it, really. That is about it. So here, again, my opponent is not able to buy a province to keep up with me there. Instead, going for a late Overlord. Not sure if that's the best thing to be doing this late into the piece here. I'm not sure if he can both clear debt and buy a province on his next turn, even if his turn is very good. And here you see nicely here the interaction between Shepherd and Embassy. Can keep all these green cards, put all of those guys down, draw a fresh set of cards, and then keep repeating that process as much as I like, really. Out comes the Embassy again. I know now that that discard pile, which turned into my deck, is full with green cards. So one Embassy play should draw me into a bunch of green, which it does. And the Shepherd is going to shine here, as you probably have seen from several other Dominion players so far. So again, this Legionary attack is going to put in the finest of work, knocking my opponent down to 3 cards and making him unable to buy a province. And in fact, it is actually going to prompt him to resign here. So we play best of 5 and I win the first 3 to move on to the next round. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.